On Chicago's southeast side, rich history, biodiversity, and close-knit communities offer new opportunities for sustainability.
Our economy has not been based on working with the planet and the reality of ecological systems that sustain us.
BIG is a community education and trade association committed on the one hand to reminding new generations of our great cultural legacy, which is our stewardship of the land, and reinventing it here in the age of climate change. And then on the other hand, making sure that Granny, Pookie, and the PhDs in between all recognize that there's an opportunity here.
Naomi Davis created BIG, Blacks in Green. BIG brings a pioneering voice and a community-centered model to the discussion of environment, economy, and equity. In partnership with BIG, Naomi Davis and Martha Boyd are working with the Chicago-Calumet Underground Railroad effort to recreate the Ton family farm as part of the Raising Spirits initiative for comprehensive neighborhood development without displacement. Like other heritage tourism projects, such as the Bronzeville Community Development Partnership, Raising Spirits offers a dynamic example of sustainable urbanism, a growing national movement to revitalize local areas.
We are on what was the 50 acres of the Jan Ton family farm. Jan and Anja Ton owned this property right after 1850. When they were here, there were not very many European settlers in this area, and there were still some Indian folks using what is now the boat landing in Beaubien Woods.
From the Menominee and
Potawatomi
tribes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the family lived here and had just gotten here from Holland, and somehow early on got enrolled in the Underground Railroad and in helping fugitive slaves who were coming across what was then the toll bridge at Indiana Avenue. Secure, as an organization that had pinpointed this location and its history as a place to memorialize, was part of the kernel of an idea around redevelopment of this whole neighborhood, which is among the poorest in Chicago. At least half the population for many years has been people living in public housing. And thinking from the viewpoint of how
over yonder
to redevelop a neighborhood in a way that could provide for people opportunities to stay in that place as it got improved economically and environmentally into the future was the genesis of thinking about the Ton Farm as a cultural and economic tourism hub.
So we're operating from a village model. And how do you, within that framework, have development which does not displace people? How do you bring...
And yet is inviting to people who would like to be here and join, instead of feeling held hostage here, join something that's a good place to be.
There's an opportunity for entrepreneurship. We're talking very specifically about local energy and food production. It's a model that we think every community should be looking at, and you don't have to be on the riverfront with a lot of vacant land to do it.
The 50-acre property spans from 134th Street to the Little Calumet River and from Beaubien Woods to St. Lawrence Avenue on the west. More than a tourism destination, the Ton Farm Plan includes everything from mixed-income housing to sustainable energy to green job creation.
The river here, the forest preserve here, the history of farming here, also both the good and bad sides of the history of people coming out of slavery, people coming from really difficult situations in Europe, here in this place, and everything that's gone on this land, that it could be a place to tell all of those stories in really powerful ways and bring people there to spend some money.
The Underground Railroad and Secure, we think that it's a story of victory, but we just need to tell the truth about the agony and, quite frankly, the terrorism that was involved in bringing us to this point today where we're, able or maybe willing to broach the subject and really transform that history into something powerful for ourselves. We've talked a lot about the Napanee, Indiana Amish Acres model, where you have the house as a museum, you have the barn as a state-of-the-art theater, you have outbuildings for retail, dining, and lodging, and you have all manner of services that are offered there. You have the Swamp Gravy model from Colquitt, Georgia, which focuses itself around the commerce of community performance and oral history, which is the system for enrolling and empowering a community to speak their story in their own words. We celebrate Yantan, but we always want to remind people that it's the faceless, nameless ones who said, "I'd rather die than live a slave, must not, shall not be forgotten." There is a story here, and it's a story that brings to light the very worst and the very best of human nature, and how we can turn that into commerce here today is the opportunity.
Looking at the green economy, it is the place now where community wealth can be generated while healing the environment in which we live, while healing our communities.